Hello, I'm FX Toycat, and welcome back to another Minecraft update news video. So a brand new snapshot just came out for the Java edition of Minecraft, and this 1.17 snapshot contains just two features, but let me tell you, those two features revolutionize redstone because we have a brand new way to trigger that redstone with noise now. Look how crazy the Sculk sensor is, but also they added the Dripstone cave, which reveals an interesting limitation to how current Minecraft caves work and the whole biome system and whatnot. And then hidden within the change notes of this update, they're also talking about the height limit and how that's going to have to change, and how the real big limitations of modern Minecraft and how it's installed are going to have to be breached in this update. I'm super excited to talk about all of that and more. I hope all of you are too, but for now, let's just start by talking about the Sculk sensor. I don't want to dive too much into this because this is obviously a heavy redstone feature. If you're a redstone guy, this is a very basic explanation, but basically there are now Sculk sensors which react to sound. You can see how when I land on the ground, it activates all of the Sculk sensors, but to varying amounts. You can see when I throw a snowball, which is a noise event, it activates Sculk sensors to different amounts based on how far away they were from the noise. So you can see this one goes all the way up to there. It's a huge redstone signal, but because those ones are really far away from the redstone signal, they're activated significantly less. Boom, now you know how the Sculk sensor works, and this is going to change things in big ways, but just for the simplest, like, ha 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 ha, griefing is funny way, let me allow you to show you how, like, oh yeah, we put some TNT in the ground, we hide the TNT of a Sculk sensor, and then we jump, and all of a sudden there's an explosion, which is, you know, like, that makes sense, like, okay, of course jumping, but it means that literally you can hide underground with a one of these. You can throw one of these down, and then, actually, I guess you'd have to, wait one sec, we're gonna, it's really tricky to actually do this effectively, but we could have, like, for instance, our Sculk sensor be over there, and then, okay, even just then trying to hide it, we're gonna activate it just by walking around, and we're gonna have secret explosions, secret piston traps, secret redstone that is activated from the ground that you are only gonna be aware of if you have either subtitles on to hear about it, or if you, you know, see the little trigger, because you can always see that little thing zoom from you to the thing. So, yeah, there's a lot of amazing uses for this that are gonna happen in the future, but I hate rain, so we're going to move from this world and talk about the second feature in this update, Dripstone caves. Because if you look for Dripstone caves in your Minecraft world, despite them adding them in this update, you won't find them. This really is a one feature snapshot, it seems. That's why the rest of it is below the surface, if you forgive my pun, because cave update. And instead, we go to the menu. That's right, we all love the Minecraft menus. This is why we come to these videos. This is what gets me excited about Minecraft. And an interesting thing about Java you might not know is they have a lot of world type customization options that aren't available on Bedrock. There's single biome, there's caves, floating islands, as well as super flat types you can customize entirely, as well as amplified and large biomes. And honestly, every world customization is Java only. So there is a world type that allows you to have just a single biome, and you can pick any biome in the game, including, interestingly enough, right now, you can pick the Dripstone caves. They're not even formatted correctly. You can see caves isn't a capital C, but we'll ignore that for now, and instead we'll make an entire world of this single biome. And so what do you expect to happen if we choose Dripstone caves as the type to take up the entire Minecraft world? Well, you'd be wrong, because we instead get this, a vaguely plains looking super flat world. I guess not super flat, because it's just plains. I mean, it's not actually flat. A flat-ish world, and looks disappointing, right? Where's the Dripstone caves? And you might be able to guess that, like, oh, the Dripstone caves are actually going to be over here in pretty much any cave spot. So the way this works, this is the only way to actually look at the Dripstone caves right now, and it's basically an idea as to what they would look like. Right now, they cannot summon these naturally into the world because Dripstone caves will only work with the larger cave types. So they confirmed that there won't be smaller cave types for Dripstone caves. That was like a sneaky confirmation right there. So now you know, mini exclusive, I guess. But way more importantly than that, they've basically confirmed that even if Dripstone caves are the cave biome of a type, it's not always going to look like that. If we go into spectator mode, which is a way for us to look through the world, another fun Bedrock missing feature. I'm just going to get sad and bitter in today's video, but if we look through some various caves, you can see how, for instance, this cave right here is filled with the Dripstone. It goes from the ceiling to the floor in a bunch of different places, but you can see how it kind of phases in and out, even within this same ravine, which isn't a cave, actually, now that I think about it. If we go over it with a cave like here, look at this cave. Look how beautiful this thing is. Actually, let's turn on the night vision so you can actually see. Look at this cave. Look at the beauty of it. It's really, really cool, but you're also going to see how just randomly, as you go off that cave, the Dripstone, caviness will end. To prove it best, I guess, let's go into the ravine, and let's see how, like, oh yeah, it goes in and out basically. And although that could be like leaving space for the future biomes, it also just kind of indicates that even if you're in a dripstone cave, it's not all going to look like this. It's not all going to be this way. It will only work under certain conditions in certain areas. And so as a result, even right now at least, we're going to have current types of caves. I imagine the default caves will change, but it just means even in your wildest dreams, you can't expect every existing Minecraft cave type to be gone, because some of whatever the old generation is, even if they update it, is going to be in the new caves. Although also you find things like this where it's like, can you even call this a dripstone cave? It's a weird, wacky little prototype, I would say. But it's just the example of the fact that, like, yeah, did you know dripstone caves exist in Minecraft? You can only find them in this one world type, and it's fascinating to look underground and just see how one cave biome changes Minecraft, but also how fundamentally one cave biome cannot change Minecraft without seeing those new world sizes, without seeing those new world things. It's super, super interesting to me, maybe interesting to all of you, or maybe you just say, oh, Toycat, what sense is all of that? I don't get it. It's just 2 brand new blocks that we saw last week. It's just the dripstone, block and the dripstone spike. What's the point of all of this? I mean, it seems, having a biome of these like makes sense in a way, but it's just placing it randomly on the floor and ceiling to very, very, very bizarre effects. And the truth on that matter is that, yeah, this by itself is just the peak at the start of all of this. It's taken them, like a couple months of snapshots now to get from starting into actually now we're seeing our first cave biome. And clearly this is some amount of stress for the game. I mean, they even have clarified they can't make it spawn in naturally. Even in these single biome worlds, it's not everywhere. And it fundamentally needs to have large caves, as you can probably work out why as we scroll through these things. But look at this right here. This clearly is the smallest it can fundamentally work, and it just doesn't look great in a tiny cave. It's clear they want larger biome sizes for this, and it's clear as to why exactly that is. But the interesting thing about this update is not just these brand new caves and their existence, which I imagine would be very frustrating very quickly, because you'd have to mine through these things. Like if we hop back into if we're in survival, imagine. You don't really have many choices when trying to traverse this thing, because look at it. You try to get through, and you have to hop on blocks, but if you take even one block of fall damage onto one of those, then serious bad things start to happen to you. You could start to break them, but you're gonna need a pickaxe through there, and I guess like maybe that's part of the fun. Maybe like trying to survive that is fun to some people. Maybe like it's a good way to get these pointed dripstones, but personally I'm gonna go through these things and be like, okay, that's a cool interaction. I guess that's the problem with stalactites and stalagmites always. How do they encourage people to actually interact with them? And like, is there a real fear of these things from anyone? Not in this type of cave. But again, you need a big cave to make this work. And speaking of big caves, one of the big struggles about this update is how is it going to work unless they raise the height limit? However, if you check the changelog, there's actually a server setting that servers can choose to enable. It's called max build height, and they have actually disabled that, and therefore you might assume, oh, there is no max build height anymore. Jesus, I've seen a few people say that. Oh, by the way, if I love this. It's just one cave biome, but we can already see the wacky interactions it's having with the world. This is fascinating beyond all belief. It is a it is a monster spawner, but also it has dripstones in there. How fun and wacky and quirky. And again, I could spend all day looking at these, and that's why I'm going to spend all day in the background. But they removed the max build height, and therefore build heights are going down. But interestingly enough, this was actually a way for servers to set the max build height, so removing that means they want everyone to have the same build height. So, seems really bad, right? That all servers now will have the same build height of 256, unless they perhaps change that. So, why would they remove this setting is something you could maybe extrapolate from by looking at the fact that customized world types, like this one right here, I mean, it's not a very interesting one, but it's a customized world. Customized worlds now will expose the setting that enables the height limit, which means if you want to set the build height limit to over 256 blocks, you are now able to. That's right, we can now have height limits going up and above to 256 blocks, which is delightful. It's wonderful. We can go bigger and higher than ever before, but with the current terrain, it seems almost wasted to go above 256, right? Right now, just for clarification, we're at 150 blocks up. Look how high we are. Right now, we're at 160, 170. Once you get to 256 blocks, there's just a lot of air, and increasing the height limit past there doesn't make too much sense if they're only going to have air. So hypothetically, it's not hypothetical because we've seen this from the various demos, hypothetically, maybe they want to increase the world, the average height of where the water generates, for instance, where the normal stuff generates, and just where mountains generate as a whole, so that they can get closer to this height limit. And therefore, removing the max build height from servers, I haven't seen anyone discuss this, is a clear way for them to make sure that, like, okay, hypothetically, they raise the new terrain ceiling for the world instead of, because right now you find water at layer 64. If we jump all the way down, from here, 64 is roughly where all this grass is you're seeing below me. If instead that spawned at 100 or 128, but you set your world height, your max build height limit to 128, then obviously no one would be able to place blocks anywhere. It would cause serious issues, and that's why they removed that setting. In my opinion, they clearly intend to raise the height limit or for the normal terrain to such a level where servers that had that old setting enabled would have serious issues. Also, it could just be not a popular feature anyway, and it could be that they want to play around, they want to test things without knowing that they might break servers, and that's the easiest way to do it, to just remove it from the game. I mean, technically correct, right? But yeah, so these dripstone caves, which you can see right now, run into limitations because of the small size of the caves, but having bigger caves runs into limitations of there isn't enough space down here. The easy way to thread the needle of those two problems interacting at the same time is to raise the limit of this right here. We could obviously go down lower, like instead of raising the limit. To me, obviously, I don't know the fundamentals of Minecraft codes. I'm sure this doesn't work. To me, the easiest solution is like right now, Minecraft stops at layer 0. Why not let it go down to minus, I don't know, 30 or something? And the answer to that is either there's a programming issue, or way more likely it'd be hard to ungenerate the bedrock from people's existing worlds and have like caves that go down lower than existing ones. You can imagine there'd be all sorts of weird issues that might spawn from that. So instead the plan is keep your caves at their existing height, which would all be presumably, much lower in the ground by comparison, and then where you currently find your terrain, any new chunks you generate, you would instead find terrain generating much higher. That is the take I have from that issue. The fact that they have two key issues running in direct contrast to each other. The only way I can see them threading the needle is raising the height limit by some amount, or at least raising the limit that terrain naturally generates at, and then stopping people from setting that height limit lower. Minecraft Bedrock has a similar thing. It's only for old size worlds, but they can, and your servers can play around with it, but like, you can obviously set your height limit to 128, and that can have the exact same issues where people need to be able to build and see some stuff. So I'm going to be fascinated to see all of the ways this interacts with all the new things in the future. Let me just say right now, this is just the start of how 1.17 cave generation is going. But it gets me fascinated because we've gone from, raising the height limit being a pipe dream to they started talking about it to now almost every single week we start seeing some form of active change that means that we could start to see caves like this without having the current issue that we have, which is like, look at this. This cave starts at the surface, y 65, which is roughly where the surface is right now. It goes all the way down from there over to here, and then from here it goes a little bit lower down to where you're going to find some lava, and even just in this cave where we can see the surface still, right? Can we see the surface? We can see the surface from here, but we're at layer 30. We've gone more than halfway down the cave system, and this doesn't look like a huge cave. You can imagine caves being bigger in Minecraft, but how can caves be bigger without lowering this? Wait, yeah, literally. By going down 2 holes, you can go straight from the surface to the depths of the Minecraft world. You can see that being a problem, especially if they want to make caves more interactive, more immersive, and more scary in the cases of places like the Deep Dark. The Deep Dark isn't terrifying if you can end up falling in there by going down a deep hole, and so that's something we're going to be seeing fixed. I am so excited to see more about this. Obviously, the one key takeaway from all of this is we went from, again, height limit being a fun, always suggested joke, but it's just too resource intensive, to, oh, it might actually be happening, to, oh, it's definitely happening if they can make it happen, to now we're starting to see it happen. Now the questions just become, how do they make that work with legacy world generation? Because hypothetically, right, if we look around the Minecraft world and we imagine that we have a plains biome that we haven't generated past this chunk right here. Let's say this is the chunk of where you've generated things. The way it would look if they don't have a smoothing tool, which is essential and hasn't ever been done on Jar, I don't think. The way it would look is like this. You would suddenly run from your terrain being here to there being just caves here all of a sudden and your height limit being up there. There's going to need to be some serious, tools to smoothen that gap over. Bedrock has tried this and they haven't done the greatest of jobs, and that was from a much smaller base to go from. If they raise the height limit of the generic terrain, the height limit of the sea level in Minecraft, the height limit of the average biome, then they need to prevent this being an issue. My old biome is 64 blocks, my new biome is 100 blocks, or even if it's hypothetically way less, even at just 14 blocks, it still looks like this, and it creates a problem because you'd be seeing exposed caves and whatnot. They can't use the normal solution, which is new chunks generate in new ways, old chunks generate in other ways. They need to have some bridge between those two things, and how they choose to do that bridge and what that bridge means and all these other questions are ones we've yet to see answered. But do you know what else we've yet to see answered? Have you liked this video and indeed subscribed to the channel? Did you know that 2/3 of people don't subscribe to the channel, and that if you ask people at the end of the videos to subscribe to your channel, somehow it works? You guilt them by saying that most people aren't it, and everyone wants to be unique. And so what if instead I told you if you wanted to be unique, if you wanted to be different, and not like all the other girls, TM, then all you really needed to do, I guess not like all the other people, because statistically, according to those same analytics that tell me most of you aren't subscribed, most of you are off the not the other girls category, and I guess, you know, if you're not a girl, then you fundamentally are not like all of the other girls, but I digress. Something I would like to, oh my god, this is such a weird thing. Look at this mess. You know, yeah, if you want to be unique, be like this dripstone pillar. Be like this, just tunneling right into the ground, ignoring the lava around you, because that's one of the options you have in this universe. If you actually want to be unique, then you can be one of the roughly 1,000 or so people that come and watch the live streams every day, because it's streamless. I'm streaming every single day for December, almost every single day, I should clarify. And if you want to come watch me place my own mountain, I'm making my own mountain using Netherrack in the overworld, then you can do that tomorrow on this channel. It might be today, depending on where you live. Honestly, it's today where I live, so depending on where you are, basically check Twitter, check the time. But if you want to see some chill survival and talking about history, Minecraft, philosophy, and most importantly of all, how bad chomp bars are, you can see that on the channel. I hope you all enjoyed this video, because if you did, I'll see you all in the next one. And if you didn't, I still might see you there. It just seems unlikely. But I'll see you in another video. Goodbye.